Hello, and welcome to another RPD video. Today, we'll be talking about clasp assemblies. This is a clasp assembly. Clasp assemblies are usually made up of an occlusal rest, a guide plate, a reciprocal element, and a retentive clasp. Today, we'll be focusing on retentive clasps. Most retentive clasps would have an origin and a terminus. The terminus is the area that engages retentive undercuts on teeth. Notice how the retentive tip flexes over the height of contour during insertion and removal. This is how the RPD remains in position. Retentive clasps can be broadly categorized according to the survey line which they're used with. Clasps that are used with Class 1 survey lines typically have their terminal tips engaging undercuts that is further away from their origins. Clasps that are used with Class 2 survey lines typically have their terminus engaging undercuts that are closer to the origin of the clasp. In addition to categorizing clasps according to the survey line which they are used with, clasps can also be categorized according to their approach to the undercut into occlusally approaching clasps and gingivally approaching clasps. Occlusally approaching clasps approach their undercuts from an occlusal direction. While this is usually comfortable to patients, it's usually not very aesthetic, as the clasps are in a very visible position. Gingivally approaching clasps approach the undercut from a gingival direction. A big advantage here is aesthetics, as these clasps are usually hidden. However, they need adequate vestibular depth to make, and they can't be made in areas where there is considerable soft tissue undercut, as this area becomes a significant food trap. As mentioned previously, all retentive clasps cause some kind of forces on abutment teeth as they pass over the height of contour and into the retentive undercut. Those forces, if left unchallenged, can cause some orthodontic movement of those abutment teeth. That is why reciprocal elements are needed to counteract those forces and maintain tooth position. Reciprocation can be provided in a variety of ways. However, usually a rigid component of the metal framework is needed to reciprocate forces by the retentive arms. Those rigid components can come in the form of a rigid reciprocal arm, a combination of proximal plate and minor connector, or a lingual plate. In the case of a reciprocal clasp arm, the forces go directly opposite to the retentive arm, thus eliminating all movement. In the case of a guide plate and a minor connector, those forces form a tripod, again eliminating forces caused by the retentive arm. In case of a plate, again, the forces come directly perpendicular to the retentive forces caused by the retentive arm. We're going to go through some of the more commonly used clasps. First up, the cast circumferential or Akers clasp. This clasp is used with a Class 1 and Class 3 survey line. It engages a 0.01 inch undercut and is considered an occlusally approaching or suprabulge clasp. The Rottweiler clasp is used with a Class 1 and Class 3 survey line, engages a 0.02 inch undercut, and is also considered an occlusally approaching clasp. It's important to note that this clasp is actually made out of two materials: a wrought wire that is soldered onto the cast framework. That solder joint is usually hidden underneath the record base. The I-bar clasp is used with a Class 1 and Class 3 survey line, engages a 0.01 inch undercut, and is considered a gingivally approaching or infrabulge clasp. Similarly, the Mod T or modified T-bar clasp is also a gingivally approaching clasp and engages a 0.01 inch undercut, only this time it is used with a Class 2 survey line, meaning the undercut is closer to the edentulous area. The ring clasp is also used with a Class 2 survey line and engages a 0.01 inch undercut and is considered an occlusally approaching clasp. It is important to note that the ring clasp goes around the whole tooth like a ring, thus creating its own reciprocation through one continuous clasp arm. The hairpin clasp is another occlusally approaching clasp that engages a 0.01 inch undercut that is closest to the initial space, thus is used with Class II survey lines. The embrasure clasp is a unique, occlusally approaching clasp that engages 0.01 undercuts on adjacent teeth. Unlike any of the clasps that we explained before, the embrasure clasp crosses the occlusal embrasure of adjacent teeth, thus connecting the reciprocal and retentive components of the same clasp. This clasp is used in very specific situations that we will talk about in later videos. Lastly, we'd like to talk about some of the factors that affect the flexibility of clasps. Generally speaking, a uniform clasp that is as thick at the origin as it is at the tip is considered a rigid clasp. A tapered clasp that tapers from origin to terminus is considered a flexible clasp. A short clasp is considered rigid, while a long clasp is considered flexible. A thick clasp is considered rigid, while a thin clasp is considered flexible. This concludes our lecture for the clasp assemblies. We hope this was helpful, and join us next time for another RPD video.